Anybody there? That seemed to go a little cattywampus, the intro. Let me know you're here. Oh, I gotta turn this on. Hang on. Beasley. Okay. Beasley's being a little yappy, so wish us luck. Looks like 4 people are in here. How's everybody doing? There's a turbulence in the force out there, and I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling it. So how are you guys doing? I'm not seeing any comments show up. Hi, Top Cat. So I debated coming on this morning just because there's been a lot going on, but I decided visiting what I want to visit today would probably be a good shift. Hi, Kate Coco. How are you guys doing? So one of the things I've been doing this week is going through all these boxes that are in the basement because that's been a project. These are boxes of memorabilia from my life, from my dad's life, from my sister's life, from my brother's life, that just haven't been gone over, some of them in decades. So it really is like this archaeological dig of memories. And my cousin was very astute when she said, because I just tackled it like a task, a challenge. And I'm going to do 2 boxes a day, and I'm transferring things, how you do that. The discard pile, the what's going to go to my brother pile, what's going to be donation pile, what am I going to save for Lillian, whatever. You have to make these hard decisions about things and letting things go. And sometimes these trips down memory lane are not the easiest ones. And so my cousin said something like, be gentle with yourself, because this can be, a lot, or something like that. And she was right. So I'm kind of on top of other things, dealing with that and realizing I need to kind of take breaks from it, and just finding all kinds of crazy things from my childhood. And good morning, Meredith. And pictures and, many things of people who have gone before me. Thank you for understanding that, Kate, that it's a lot to process. One of the things any of you may know or remember this about me is about my stepmother. And, I'm writing this book that references her. And anyway, and one of the things that happened in her she was a PhD level social worker. And when she married my dad, I don't know if she'd already started it or she started the project when she married my dad, but she wrote this book that was basically a textbook. And she worked in this children's research center, which was institutionalized behavior problem children that had to be institutionalized. And so she wrote this book about these therapeutic behavior modification interventions that, programs that she put these kids on. And it was called a milieu therapy program for behaviorally disturbed children. When I was in college, I went to my my college library, and I found her book on the shelf. I said it was like Googling your own name, but you go to the library and see if you have an uncommon name, if there's an author that has your name. And there was her book on the shelf of my college library. So I had never read it. It was like this big deal the first year that she married my dad. And I took it off the shelf, and it was like, this is your life. Like these programs she had put these institutionalized kids on, she had us on at home. Anyway, so I knew I had a copy of that book somewhere, but I could never find it because I just felt like I need to reference that in my book because, it's a part of it. And guess what your girl found yesterday? There's the book. You can see it's still in the shrink wrap. I have never opened it, but I ran into that. I mean, even look at the cover and how just intensely stark that is. But these programs in here, she implemented in our home. And so anyway, this book, it was like, oh my God, there it is. I was glad to find it. But as you can imagine, hi, Sherry. So I'm just going to read you the cover. Then I'm going to let this go. I have Wendy Adelson's book, too, that was sent to me by somebody. And this is going to somehow go with that somewhere. These are going to be little cousins to each other. But I just read the cover because I have not even opened this book. Um, Emphasis in this text is on conceptualizing an ongoing service program in such a manner that the crucial therapeutic variables can be utilized. That was actually how she spoke to us. That was like her language. Um, the author describes here the implementation and evaluation of this program with a group of 30 children in a short-term residential treatment setting and in their return to the community. The children's range in age from 6 to 13 and have intelligence from high trainable to gifted. We were 6, 9, and 10. We were her target group. So yes, these programs that she implemented in our family are in this book. So anyway, I'm gonna let that go now, but even just running into that, I will eventually crack that open and take a look at that again. I'm 66. I probably did that when I was 19, saw that book in that library. So it's been that long since I have glanced at that. My stepmother is a PhD psychologist, makes it hard when they have that mental health authority. Oh, and it's also like, where is this person's heart? Where is their heart? So there's that. So anyway, I just have run into so much stuff, but some cool stuff. And so I'm going to share the cool stuff now. I just wanted to get this out of my view. So I can't even see it. But it's a minefield is what I'm saying in these going through these boxes and just the things that I'm running into and the things I'm having to make decisions on to discard. I remember, everything from my sister's apartment was moved into my garage very quickly because we were lucky they let us take possession of it because, that man that killed her was her legal husband and he could have taken possession of all of her things. But the police let us get in there and they hadn't been convicted yet. So we were lucky for that. But, and just everything like in the middle of the night just got tossed into my garage. So it took me a long time to go through those boxes, as you can imagine, and making those decisions. And what do you keep of somebody's life? And I remember standing in my garage, agonizing over a matchbook. Do I discard or keep this matchbook? Just down to something like that. So I'm sure those of you who have dealt with stuff like that, it's your own life, other people's lives. There's a lot of things that are sort of coalescing at the same time right now. And that is one of them. So I'm going to take a break from the boxes today. I'm glad that I've gotten done what I have gotten done. I found the entire, my brother's really into watching DVDs right now. And I had purchased, many, many years ago, the entire set of Sex and the City, the TV episodes, and he doesn't have any like streaming or anything. So I'm going to give him the entire thing. So I'm thrilled about that, so, I mean, there's been a lot of cool things that have been uncovered as well. Music and CDs. I have a CD player in my car and DVDs and stuff like that and pictures, but even the pictures can be rough, when you're having a life where you just keep moving forward, and it's not always easy to look back sometimes. So I just wanted to share that. Take a breath. But I found some of my writings and I'm going to read some things. And one of them is really kind of a magical story. And I wanted to revisit it and share it with you guys. And one of them is just a funny story. So I'm going to read the funny one first, and then I'm going to read the magical one because it has a prop that goes with it that's really sort of cool. So, and this probably isn't going to be a really long live because I'm feeling shaky today. So, but I wanted to come on here and do this. So I found this. I was in a writing group. This one was written. These were both done in writing groups. I've been doing writing groups various stages of my life, and this one was probably in the early 2000s, late 1990s, maybe, that I was in this one. And then the other one was in 1989, which was just the year after my sister was killed. So that was a point of reference. I still have things in my house that belong to family members who have passed. I tackled some, but still more to do. So you understand what I'm saying, Top Cat. It's hard to make these decisions, and you'd have to be sort of ruthless about these decisions in some way. Like, I mean, there's probably about 10 more boxes to go through, but I've been through about 10 now. So, it's a lot of stuff and a lot of pictures back when we didn't do anything digitally. So we had pictures, and artwork and just all kinds of stuff and like disseminating it. Who even cares about this anymore? Does anybody care? It's just all these kind of questions that come up. So I'm going to read you guys a couple of stories because they're kind of fun. They're fun for me and they're fun for me to revisit. And these were things that I thought I had lost along the way that resurfaced. And I was thrilled to find them. So I'm going to read you a couple of stories. So it's going to be a little story time, but reading at this time. And I was going to tell this story, but I had kind of forgotten details of both of them. So I'm glad that I found them because they're like more, detailed from my memory when I wrote them. So the first story I'm going to read you is called Bread Spy. Bread Spy. Does that intrigue you about a bread spy? In the summer of my 11th year, I uncovered a covert operation involving white bread. It was occurring right under my smallish Midwestern town's collective nose. This caper involved my local 4-H group and the Sunbeam Bread Factory. Perhaps I should start from the beginning. Growing up motherless in the 60s in central Illinois farm country was nothing even close to normal. When my little girlfriends would come to school speaking of how their mommy taught them how to wrap a pretty package or fold a fitted sheet, I was reflecting on my weekend of learning how to stain the back deck in a redwood finish. Longing to fit in at that age is, of course, paramount, so being domestically challenged left me standing out like a very callous thumb. I don't remember now who came up with the brilliant idea, but it was the perfect remedy. 4-H. It was my sister, actually. This was a club where its leaders were all ladies in every sense of the word. Ladies who enjoyed devoting their free time to showing young girls such as me how to fold a festive party napkin or roll out a pie crust. It filled a gaping hole in my life in a way nothing else could have. This was a place where I belonged. Whether my junior homemaker comrades and I opened our manuals to make a zigzag stitched beanbag, or how to boil the perfect soft-boiled egg, we were all on the same page. The morning in question involved a field trip to tour a local factory, Sunbeam. This would, of course, expand our horizons beyond our kitchen bread baking class to a much grander scale. No one knew, of course, how far this dough would later expand in my consciousness. Our leader, Mrs. Tapscott, gathered her flock of domestic underlings at the Sunbeam gates and prepared us for the tour. Do not touch any of the equipment. The dough is not for sampling. Stay together with the group. If you need to go to the bathroom, come to me. Pay attention because we will have a discussion at our next meeting about how bread is made. As we first entered the building, one could not help but become bowled over by the various aromas smacking you in the face. It was a strange mix at first of cleaning supplies and something that smelled like sour milk. Now, being a huge fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, these odors paled in comparison to the excitement I was feeling about being in that factory. You see, I was in a place where I actually had an edge on all the other girls. One of my father's summertime activities was for us to tour factories. By this time, I'd already been in Kellogg's and the granddaddy of them all, Hersheytown. So I was on some familiar territory already. But of course, I pinched my nose and chimed in the obligatory gross and oh, disgusting comments right along with all the others, hoping Mrs. Tapscott wouldn't notice our disrespect. We were guided room after room as those aromas shifted to yeast, flour, dough, a strange metallic smell, and finally the coup de grace, baking bread. It truly is an awesome experience being so small and standing next to that huge machinery, churning, kneading, rolling, baking, slicing. And it was exactly in the slicing room that it happened. At first, I wasn't sure I could believe what I was seeing. I mean, how could they let us see this? Didn't they know we would expose their dirty little secret? That their fluffy, white, vitamin-enriched symbols of wholesome perfection were sandwiched in deceit? I looked around me and none of the other girls nor Mrs. Tapscott seemed to notice the obvious, horrific lie happening right under our noses. So I just stood there and stared while pretending not to see it. As those sliced loaves of bread emerged from the machine and began their descent down the conveyor belt toward packaging, they reached a distinct fork in the road. There they encountered a mechanism that allowed them to alternate one after the other toward two separate wrapping machines. The fork to the left led every other loaf to the familiar blue, yellow, and red bright sunbeam bags. The fork to the left led the others right into the plain blue generic Eisner store brand bags. I just could not believe my eyes. I cooked dinner every Tuesday night and I had to do my own shopping. I knew how to compare prices. I knew how much those loaves cost in my neighborhood store, Eisner's. How could they be allowing such deception? Why wouldn't they at least tell their loyal customers as they checked out with those perfect split right down the middle sunbeam conniving loaves that their store brand was 50 cents cheaper and exactly the same, exactly the same? I never breathed a word of my discovery to Mrs. Tapscott or any of the other girls. Maybe I feared I'd get kicked out of the group for creating such a ruckus or get in trouble for sticking my nose where it shouldn't be. Or maybe I just wanted to fit in. All I know is that the point backfired on my frugal father, whose shrugged response was, "Now maybe you understand why we buy generic sodas instead of that Coke." This was one secret that was destined to be called my own. Yet I knew that I would never allow any entity bigger than myself to convince me of its being better than anything or anyone without my careful scrutiny. A slice of my own innocence was lost that day in that bread factory, yet maybe it was exactly the lesson for me, the 4-H graduate, to learn to walk through deceptively innocent grocery store aisles with one eye cocked. Bread spy. I had fun with that, and my writing class really liked that too. So that's a little story that I wrote about generic items. Now, it doesn't apply to everything, but it applies to a lot of things. And lately, I've been thinking about that with Trader Joe's because um, I've been seeing all this stuff about Trader Joe's skincare products and people that are like really into skincare saying, the such and such a cream, like dermatologists weighing in and saying it's exactly like the blah 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 brand, and I'm thinking it's not exactly like it. It is that. So that brand is allowing Trader Joe's to put their label on it because Trader Joe's doesn't have all these skincare factories, right? So what they're doing is they're having a contract with, I think one is called Drunk Elephant, which I hadn't heard of that before. Let's say Philosophy, just use that, brand. They have a contract with them where they can buy at a discount their, hand cream or whatever. And they use very similar packaging, but a different label on it. So to me, it's like, it probably is the exact same stuff because that's what the Eisner store was doing. It was like literally every other loaf. It wasn't like seconds. It was literally the exact same bread was going to be packaged here and packaged there. The exact same recipe, the exact same batch. So deception seen at a young age. I know. And I don't know. It's just funny how I was afraid to tell anybody that I saw it. Like I shouldn't be seeing this. How are they even telling us this? So it really did alter my thought. Now, not everything. Some things, the generic thing is just crap, and that was, of course, the case with the soda, even though my dad said otherwise. But, it's not the same. But a lot of times it is the same. It's the exact same thing. I mean, it's literally the same thing coming out of the same factory. So that's just a little little education for the day that I learned when I was 11 years old. So, and then this one, I got another story for you. It's a story time, but literal story time. I haven't even read this one through. I just pulled it out yesterday, the day before, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. And this one has a prop that goes with it. You found out it was all a scam a few years ago. Okay. So many products. I have I have glare on my thing, so I hope you guys can see me all right, but I'm trying to avoid the sun too bad, but I like being in this spot in front of the fireplace. I seem to have lost my cursor. No, there it is. I only found out it was all a scam until a few years ago. Yeah. I mean, some of them aren't the same. Some of them are actually generic, and made at a generic factory. But really, how can Trader Joe's it's the same with their food too. Like, they have all that, like, Indian food, like, pre-made Indian food. That's exactly the same as other brands because it's coming from that. They're not having factories that's making all that, they're, you know, sharing that. So many products are made in the same factory with different labeling and pricing. It's crazy. It is, so savvy shopper. I've been burned sometimes on stuff, but other times you can tell it's exactly the same. Oh, eyeglasses are all made by one company? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, and eyeglasses. That's a whole other thing. See, I love my eye doctor, but I don't love leaving there because I get the hard sell, and I've just had to steel myself because I love my doctor and I love my exams, but I don't buy my glasses there because I can get like 3 pairs of glasses online with the prescription she gave me for the price of one out of their shop, out of their office. So, and they just steer you right there, like that's where you have to go. And the last time I was there, I said, "Oh, I don't buy my glasses from you guys." And she was like clutching her pearls, like, "You don't?" And I just said, "No, I can get them a lot cheaper elsewhere." I that's just the truth. So, you have to be kinda ruthless with that sometimes and not get pressured into that. All right. All right, guys. So that was my funny bread spy story. This one is a little deeper story. So, um, but like buying hair products at a salon, big markup. Yeah, no kidding, the exact same stuff. And then you feel sort of guilty, like you should buy. So like, let's eliminate the guilt of this. You get what you get and you get what you want to get. You shouldn't have to like get that and then whatever the extra. Um, it's fine for them to offer it, but it doesn't mean that you're obligated to purchase that. So I don't know if I've talked very much about I lived in Mexico for a while right after I graduated from college. And I lived in Puerto Vallarta with a drummer. I had my little wild groupie experience. But anyway, so I have some experience living in Mexico and speaking Spanish and it being in that culture, immersed in that culture for um, a period of months. And then I spent a couple years going back and forth a lot. And so I'm familiar with that culture. And I lived, did I say specifically Puerto Vallarta? And so I went back a few years later after that. Let me turn off my signaling on my phone. After I, was no longer in that relationship and going back, to visit him, I would still go back there, sometimes with girlfriends. And this happened on a trip that I went with a girlfriend. So we had a really wild trip there for a few days. And so I had kind of a miraculous oh, you didn't know about my Mexico days? Yeah, it's another part of my life. So, yeah, I fell in love with a drummer and lived on the beach in a hotel in Mexico for a period of time. So after I graduated from college, and just get me out of the States. So anyway, um, so I had this experience, and I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to read you about it because I wrote a little essay about it, and I just found it this week, and it has a prop to go with it that I'm going to show you as I tell this story because this sits on my mantle here normally. So in any of my pictures, you might have seen this before. Okay, so here's story number 2. It's called Our Lady Makes a Visit. This tote bag is heavy on my shoulder. Maybe I should have considered that when I decided to buy a whole 6-pack of soda in bottles, along with the liter of juice in a bottle as well. Only a half a block to go, I think, as the beautiful array of colorful wood chests catches my eye. My gaze wanders over the small assortment, carefully grouped along the sidewalk. Beautiful, I admire, not like anything I've seen in Mexico before. As I look more closely, still walking past, I notice the hand-carved statues as well. It's the 3-foot image of St. Francis that begs me to stop, as the little budget master inside reminds me, remember, no souvenirs. Each piece is exquisite, divine. I've become so accustomed by now to the mass-produced 10,000 of a kind, I made this myself, Mexican treasures, that this unique display really takes me off guard. Mother and son are busy reloading the truck and don't notice me until I speak. Buenos dias. Smiling, she greets me as I begin to overflow with the beauty of the work. Yes, we make them. They are beautiful, she matter-of-factly yet humbly replies in Spanish. We're speaking Spanish. At some point, it becomes clear. What are you barking at? It's okay, boy. It's okay, Beasley. At some point, it becomes clear that she has tossed the ball of this interchange into my court. She's decided to follow my lead versus the more customary, good price today, lady. How many you want? 2 for 1 for you today only. So the budget master gives me the permission to just look. I mean, it's like going to a gallery, right? My focus rests on the statue. Fingertips caress the flowing lines of his garment in total appreciation of the artful gentleness which has coaxed him to emerge from a stump of wood. The woman observes, "You like that," as she turns toward the half-packed truck. "Then I have something else to show you." She reappears seconds later from cardboard and newspaper, cradling her obvious prized piece. The Virgin, La Virgen, she shares. Do you know of the Virgin? ¿Sabes de la Virgen? Spanish. Enamored by the figure, I nod my head. I'll just hold it here. Enamored by the figure, I nod my head. Where am I? Realizing in that moment, she knows how much that lady has touched my life. She holds the tender image out before me to touch as she begins her story of the miracle of this carving. My husband and I make these, and I usually do the finishing work. As I was polishing her face, I noticed a tiny drop of water, a tear, going down here. She strokes the left cheek downward from eye to chin. I couldn't believe it, so I wiped it off. Oh, I guess she stroked the left cheek of the Virgin. I couldn't believe it, so I wiped it off. Then another one came, and that time I knew. It was the Virgin. When I told my son about it, he didn't believe me. Then the next day, he was polishing her, and some tiny beads of water formed along here. Her finger smooths the hairline. It was a miracle. I didn't know then that the next day I would go into the hospital, but she did. She came to visit me, to tell me everything would be all right, and it was. That's the miracle of this Virgin. The skeptic inside fights his way through the awe I'm experiencing. She probably just wants to make a sale. This could all be just a great pitch. As my eyes lift from the Virgin to meet hers, I see the tear. The thin film of perspiration on her face has pooled to form one tear that flows ever so gently down her left cheek as she continues to effervesce of the Virgin and how she visits our lives. I return 10 minutes later with the $30 requested for the piece. For the first time in Mexico, I haven't even considered bargaining. I just fulfill my role in the exchange. It all seemed too perfect to alter in any way. It wasn't until I returned to the States that I noticed the dark stained streak running from the left eye to the chin on the face of the Virgin carving. I wonder how she'll continue to visit. And I don't know if you can see it. I didn't even notice this at the time, that dark streak. And like, how did I miss it? How did I miss that? She didn't even point that out. It wasn't until I got home that I saw on the left eye the same streak going down. So that's the story. La Virgen de Guadalupe. And I went to visit the plaza where the garment, the mantel, is displayed in Mexico City, if any of you know that story. And my boyfriend at the time used to make reference to that a lot, and he took me there when we visited Mexico City. Yep, you can see the streak. Yeah, so those are a couple stories that I wrote a long, long time ago, 20 and 30 some years ago. So seeing that I'm kind of gearing up to finish my book, I think I have 40 chapters written of my book. I think I have one more chapter to write and like editing and all that kind of stuff. And it takes time and it takes readiness to be finishing things and diving back into it, but it's just sitting there waiting for me to do that. So that is going to be happening this spring. But yeah, that story of the Virgin, I mean, that's been kind of my life. I talk about the kind of magical stepping stones to look for or things like that that just sort of keep me going. And I'm really glad I read that story today and that I remembered that because this is a good day for me to remember that. Um, with a lot of unrest in the force field out there. So those are my stories to share today. That's really mainly what I got, unless you guys have something to share. Just checking my phone. But yeah, I thought those would be hopefully, I think it's good. I think it's good to acknowledge those things when they happen, when you have these kind of miracle moments in your life that you stumble into or they stumble into you or whatever, and that you can notice those things. I remember that feeling like I didn't have that money, but here she's telling me, and when you have something like a tear or something rolling down your face, normally you just instinctively are going to wipe it off. But this woman telling me this story, it wasn't a tear, it was just a pool of sweat exactly on that track on the left had formed into, and she didn't wipe it off. It just kept, like she didn't even notice it. But I'm like looking at her, listening to her, captivated with this tear rolling down her face as she's telling me the story of a tear rolling down the face of this carving. I knew it was something precious that I needed to possess. So thankfully, she made it through all these, through a flood and through all these moves and everything. I noticed she's fallen because I noticed there's some kind of little gashes, but she's still intact. All these years later, she's still intact. Yeah, it was probably around 1989 that I got this. So yeah, I went on a wild and fun trip with my friend Annette down there. So I'll just kind of touch base with the comments here, and thank you for sharing incredible moments in time. Thank you for noticing that. I get compliments when I wear this color, so I thought today's a good day to wear a good color. Well, thank you for being here, TSP and everybody else. Hope you guys are doing all right out there. I know this is a very tumultuous time in the world, and we're all coping. Thank you, Top Cat. I enjoy writing. I have for quite a while, as you can see. Enjoyed expressing myself in that way. So maybe since I'm taking a break from my digging, my archaeological dig through the boxes down there, maybe I'll work on a little writing today. So anything else, you guys? It might be kind of hard to see me with this bright sun. I will tell you about a good show that we watched just to sign off for that I can recommend. We binge watched this show, Steel, that's on, it's about a heist, and it's on Prime, I think, Amazon Prime. It was really good. I thought it was really good. So, oh, hi, Kate and Catherine. Yeah, you could check it from the beginning. This is going to be a shorty live because it's about all I got to give today, but thank you for joining me. You're focusing on personal projects. Send pics. I like to see progression of projects. Thank you, TSP. I look out at this snow and I think my bulbs and things that are in there are loving it. They're getting that blanket of snow on top of them. And then they'll get all the nutrients from that snow dissolving into there. So I think about that, think about spring, even though I do love this. I love this quiet, man. When you go outside, like I took him out and took him for a little walk. It's so incredibly quiet. And then I see all the deer tracks and bunny tracks. It's so cool. So, hi, Kevin Hornbuckle. Thank you for sharing. Been a while since I've seen you around, but I haven't been around that much either. So, unless there's any other chit chat or comments or questions or sharing or anything like that, I think I might go back to something, but it won't be digging through stuff. It's going to be sorting maybe. So, oh, you want to see One Battle? And I want to see that too. No, I have not seen that. And I've gotten like mixed reviews on that from people that kind of like, the same stuff that I like. So, but I do want to see that. And I was actually thinking about maybe going to a movie in the theater, but there's just nothing out there that's interesting to me. And that one, Is This Thing On, is already come and left. I wanted to see that with Will Arnett, but that's already come and gone. It's just a lot of like horror and stuff I'm not interested in right now. But oh, thank you, Meredith. Story time in traffic on the way to work was amazing. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm glad that I could keep you company while you're in traffic. Well, as always, if you have anything to refer to me there's one thing I love is being snowed in, and I think I'll read today, actually. That's what I'm going to do. Let's read by the fireplace. We conserved our propane for a few days because we didn't know if we'd lose power, and our generator runs on the propane. Like, we just didn't want to risk it. But we've been through the worst of it. We never lost power, never lost internet. So it was a beautiful, fluffy snow that we got like 22 inches. So there was a lot of snow blowing and stuff going on. So this thing on is also on your list. Yeah, I hear good things about it. It looks like my kind of movie. I have Leonardo DiCaprio's character in one it's one battle after another, isn't it? One battle after another. Plus part of it was filmed in my college town of Trinidad, California. Amazing sceneries, nothing else. Oh, that's cool. Oh, you love his character. Okay. Bloomington is still digging out from the snowstorm. Yeah, I have not left the house, so I don't know what it's like out there, but I know John's out right now, so I know you can come and go, but I've been just totally hunkered down and cooking, and I'm deeply into my sourdough journey. I've been making so many crackers, and I haven't done anything with the proper sourdough because I've been developing it. But with the discard, I've been making like these amazing crackers. Like, I never want to buy crackers again because I can make my own with caraway seeds and stuff, and just trying different flavorings, and mostly just herbs and spices, but it's so good. So yeah, sourdough has been, it's something fun to get up in the morning and see how much it's risen and see how much you're producing. And I got some new jars to put it in. That was exciting. Exciting over jars, but got to take it where you can find it, right? Well, I guess I'm going to sign off, guys. I know this has been a quickie, but that's kind of all I got for today. But I want to thank you for joining me as always, and for showing up, and for being cool, and for caring and all that stuff. I appreciate it. And leave a comment if you have any suggestions of good things to watch, or Trader Joe's things or anything. And I will catch you guys next time. And I'm going to leave you on the note of the Virgin. There she is. There she is with her tear-stained streak down her face. We got to take magic where we can find it, you guys. We got to take it, we got to embrace it, and we got to share it, because this is the stuff that keeps me going. When I see stories like this, I read one recently about this pizza delivery guy. Okay, I'm going to try to say this, if hopefully I'm remembering this correctly. He gets this order from this woman who says, I only have $6. Do you have anything on the menu? That somehow she had just like gone to a domestic violence shelter with her kids or something like that. And this pizza, he's the owner of the pizza company, said, yes, we do have a $6 special. And let her believe it was a special, and then showed up with this delivery with like all this food for this family. And he continued to do that every week for her, whatever amount of money she had, that was his special. And he would just feed her family. And that evolved into her getting back on her feet and developing I think one of her kids or something, she and one of her kids developing a program where they actually do that for other people. Like it just kept developing and developing and developing. It was such a heartwarming story to read. If I can find it again, I'll share it on the page, because these are the things that keep us going. And this is why it's important to share them, not just to look for them and feel them and embody them, but to share them with other people, because I know that me being on the being on the receiving end of stories like that is fuel for my heart and my soul, to keep my head above water and to keep me realizing what's real. So it is so important to share these things. So Mr. Beasley, Canine Catherine, is sleeping in the sun over next to me. He just peeked up at me with a side eye. He's been a good boy. You want to come over here, Beasley? Here, let me show him to you. Come here, boy. Can you see him? Hi, boy. You Mr. Poo Poo. You're a good boy. It's so good. So that's a little Beasley sighting. I think I might give him a shower today. I have to watch about not bathing him too much, because he had a little skin reaction once, and I realized I was bathing him too much. But he's been sticking his nose in the snow. He's so cute going out in the snow. He likes being out there. He has a little coat. Yes, he is very adorable personality, and he's such a good boy. I have to take him to his little pet resort this weekend because of a class I'm taking, and John's going to be at a gymnastics meet. We're like all over the place, and she loves him. Her name is Joy, and you gonna see your Joy? Look how he gets his eyes bright up. He absolutely loves her, and she loves him. So he's going to get a little resort time. All right, guys. I know he's got the little mohawk, doesn't he? The little faux hawk sticks up on the. It used to be white, but it's not white anymore. It's all integrated. Let's see if I can. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off, but thank you for joining me, and I will catch you next time. And hang in there. Keep breathing. Keep deep breathing. Keep using your diaphragm to take your deep breaths, and you will feel more grounded, as I say that to myself. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. I will catch you next time. Bye for now.